It's just, one of the hardest things you'll ever do is face yourself honestly, not the version of you that you present to the world, the polished, created, filtered version. I mean, the real you, the one you see when you're lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, unable to lie anymore. That's where the real journey begins. If you want to believe in yourself, if you want to build real, lasting confidence, not that fake, puffed up kind that crumbles under pressure, you have to start with this brutal, unavoidable truth. You are not who you could be. That might sound harsh in general. But it's not meant to tear you down. It's meant to wake you up because deep down, you already know this. You know, there are things you've avoided, responsibilities you haven't taken, conversations you've dodged, habits you've let spiral. And instead of confronting those parts of yourself, you've probably distracted yourself with social media, with business, with excuses. You've stayed comfortable instead of honest. And the problem with comfort is it doesn't require growth. Comfort doesn't demand anything from you, but chaos does. Now, here's the thing. Chaos isn't just out there in the world. It's inside you. It's the undisciplined thoughts, the unresolved trauma, the suppressed anger, the unspoken dreams. It's all the parts of you that you've locked away because they're hard to deal with. But those are exactly the parts that hold your power. That's why you must go there. You must confront the chaos within. It's just not because it's easy, but because everything you want, strength, purpose, belief, it's hiding in that storm. Think of the ancient idea of the hero's journey. It always starts with a descent into the unknown. In mythology, the hero goes into the underworld, the cave, the wilderness. That's not just a story. That's psychology. That's your mind. You have to voluntarily enter the places inside yourself that scare you. That's where transformation happens. That's where belief is forged. Look, nobody wakes up one day just overflowing with confidence. People who believe in themselves have earned it. They've wrestled with their own demons. They've failed and they've gotten back up. They've stared their chaos in the face and said, you're not going to control me anymore. That's what gives you the right to believe in yourself, not because someone else told you're good enough, but because you've been to the depths. It's just, and you came back stronger. There's a reason Jordan Peterson talks about cleaning your room before trying to change the world. It's not about being neat. It's about mastering the basics, facing the chaos you can control before pretending you're ready for more. If your own mind is a mess, if your life is full of contradictions and avoidance, how can you expect to feel confident? You'll always be afraid that someone might pull back the curtain and see the truth. So pull it back yourself. Get ahead of the shame. Clean it up bit by bit. And then don't expect this to be quick. This is a lifelong process. You're not just crossing off a to-do list. You're reorganizing your sight. You're untangling the knots of your identity. But every small act of courage matters. Every time you tell the truth, would it have been easier to stay silent? Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you face a fear instead of running, you're building something. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who can handle life. And that's where real belief is born. It's just belief doesn't mean thinking you're perfect. It means knowing you're capable of growth. And you only discover that when you step in the fire, when you willingly confront the chaos inside you and begin to shape it into something meaningful. So ask yourself, what are you avoiding right now? What part of yourself have you tried to ignore or suppress? What would happen if you turned and faced it? Not with judgment, with courage. Because here's the truth. I think just in general, it's just the path to believing in yourself always begins at the edge of what you don't want to see. Go there anyway. That's where your future is waiting. It's just, if there's one shift that can fundamentally change your life, it's this: you take responsibility for everything you can, and then some. That doesn't mean blaming yourself for things outside your control. It means refusing to let circumstances define you. It means deciding right here, right now, that no matter where you are, you're the one steering the ship. Most people don't want to hear that. It's easier to point fingers at your parents, your past, the system, your boss, your ex, even the universe. And sure, some of that stuff matters. But here's the brutal truth. As long as you stay in that mindset, you're giving away your power. You're saying, I can't change because everything depends on something outside of me. That's not belief. That's surrender. And that's the trap so many people fall into. They confuse responsibility with guilt or with blame, but they're not the same. Responsibility is liberating. It says, I may not have chosen this situation, but I choose how I respond. That shift in mindset is where confidence begins. You're no longer reacting to life, you're shaping it. Now, think about how this connects with belief in yourself. If you don't see yourself as the author of your life, how could you possibly believe in your ability to create anything meaningful? You can't. Self-belief isn't just about feeling good. It's about earning your own respect. And that starts with showing up, even when you don't feel like it, because you said you would, because it's your job to show up. That's responsibility. Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time. You're not here to be safe and passive. You're here to carry as much responsibility as you can bear. That's where you find meaning, not in chasing dopamine hits, not in blaming the world, but in standing up straight, looking at the chaos of life and saying, I'll carry that, I'll take that on. And when you do, something incredible happens. Your nervous system recalibrates. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You start seeing yourself as capable. This doesn't mean you'll win every time. It doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. But it does mean that when things fall apart, and they will, you'll know where to look first. Inward, you'll ask, what can I fix? What can I learn? It's just, how do I move forward from here? That's the mindset of someone who believes in themselves. That's the mindset of someone who's going somewhere. Let's bring this down to the real world. Maybe you're broke. Maybe you've failed 100 times. Maybe your mental health is in the gutter. Fine. But don't use that as a reason to give up. Use it as fuel. Take a hard look at your situation and ask, what part of this am I responsible for? Even if it's just 10%, what's my percent? Then own it. Start there. You'll be shocked at how fast your life starts to change when you stop waiting for someone else to fix it. The people who go the farthest in life are the ones who take radical ownership. They take responsibility not just for their actions, but for their mindset, their habits, their discipline, their potential. They stop negotiating with weakness. They stop justifying mediocrity, and they choose to be the kind of person they can believe in. And yeah, it's hard. It requires consistency. It requires humility. You'll fall short. You'll mess up. But if you're the kind of person who keeps coming back to responsibility like a compass, then over time you'll become someone different, someone better, someone stronger. That's when belief becomes unshakable. Because it's not based on fantasy, it's based on proof. You've seen what you're capable of and you're not afraid of hard truths anymore. So it's just, if you're waiting for someone to rescue you, stop. If you're hoping for a perfect opportunity, forget it. Start where you are. Look in the mirror. That's your savior. That's your problem. That's your answer. When you accept that fully, when you take radical responsibility, you don't just believe in yourself, you become someone worth believing in. There's this illusion that stops so many people from ever making real progress. It's the idea that you have to be ready before you begin, that you need some perfect plan, the perfect mindset, the right timing, or enough motivation before you can take action. But here's the truth, you'll never feel fully ready. And if you wait for that magical moment when everything lines up, you'll be stuck forever. Progress doesn't start with clarity. It starts small. But start now. This is one of the most underrated psychological principles in building belief of yourself. It's just, you don't wait until you believe before you act and belief follows. That's how it works. Confidence isn't some internal resource you have to find. It's something you build through consistent evidence that you're capable of doing hard things. That starts small. One small win at a time. Look at how Jordan Peterson puts it, clean your room. That's not just a metaphor. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. When you bring order to the space you can control, your room, your routine, your habits, you signal to yourself that you're competent. You're not trying to fix the entire world in a day. You're fixing what's right in front of you. And that process scales. It builds momentum. That's how you move from being overwhelmed to being grounded. Most people fail not because they can't do big things, but because they never master the small ones. They set goals so massive and so vague. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to be confident, that they never take the first concrete step. But reality doesn't reward fantasy. It rewards action. So ask yourself, what's the next smallest step you could take today that pushes you forward? Not some grand transformation, not changing your entire life overnight, just the next right thing. Maybe it's making your bed. Maybe it's sending that email you've been avoiding. Maybe it's getting up on time or journaling for 5 minutes or saying no to one bad habit. That sounds trivial, but it's not. Every small act of discipline is a vote for the person you're becoming. And here's the key. When you start small, you avoid the paralysis that comes from perfectionism. It's just that mindset of I'll do it right or I won't do it all is a trap. It's fear of failure dressed up as logic. But doing something imperfectly is infinitely more valuable than doing nothing perfectly. Action builds confidence, belief. This is the same principle behind every major achievement. No one builds anything meaningful in one leap. Even the most successful people, whether it's in business, art, fitness, or relationships, got there by stackings of tiny actions over time. But because we only see the highlight reel, we think they had some secret formula or superhuman ability. They didn't. They just started and they kept going. That's the game. And don't underestimate what those early small steps do to your brain. Neurologically, every time you follow through on something, even something tiny, you rewire your sense of agency. You start to see yourself as someone who can be trusted, someone who follows through. That's the real foundation of belief in yourself. Not hype, not motivation, but integrated, built day by day, action by action. There's a psychological term for this. Self-efficacy. It means the belief that you can produce an outcome. And the way to increase self-efficacy isn't by reading more books or watching more motivational videos. It's by stacking real experiences of success, even if they're small. Especially when they're small, you don't need to overhaul your life today. You just need to do one thing better than yesterday. Yeah. That's it. If you do that every day for a year, you won't even recognize who you are a year from now. You'll be sharper, stronger, more focused, more grounded. Not because you had some dramatic epiphany, but because you committed to the smallest possible action and you stuck with it. So stop waiting for the big moment. Stop telling yourself the lie that you need more time or more knowledge or more motivation. General, it's just you don't. You need to move. And once you do even just a little, you'll prove to yourself that you're capable of growth. And once you prove that, everything changes. The smallest step forward beats the best excuse every time. General, it's just, if you want to believe in yourself, you have to start by telling yourself the truth, the version that's convenient, not the version that protects your ego. The ego, especially when it's uncomfortable, because let's be honest, most people spend a huge part of their lives lying to themselves. They lie about why they're stuck, why they procrastinate, why they lash out, why they're unhappy. They construct these little narratives that make them feel better in the moment, but slowly destroy their potential. It's just tired. It's not the right time. They're just lucky. These aren't facts. They're stories. They're stories. And the longer you believe them, the further drift from who you could become. What's dangerous is how subtle these lies are. They don't scream, they whisper, they blend in with your thoughts until they feel like reality. And if you're not careful, you'll build your entire identity around them. But here's the psychological truth. When you lie to yourself, even subconsciously, you create a split inside. Part of you knows the truth. And every time you ignore it, that gap between who you are and who you pretend to be gets wider. That gap is where insecurity grows. That gap is what kills belief. Think about it. How can you believe in someone you don't trust? If your actions don't line up with your words, if your goals don't match your habits, if your values don't match your behavior, your brain notices. You can try to fake it with confidence tricks and affirmations, but your subconscious knows better. Real self-belief doesn't come from image. It comes from alignment. And alignment starts with truth. This is one of the most powerful yet challenging ideas that Jordan Peterson talks about, the importance of speaking truthfully, not just to others, but to yourself. When you do that, you start organizing your internal world. You start integrating the parts of yourself that you've pushed into the shadows, the anger, the resentment, the regret. You bring them into the light, not to judge them, but to understand them. And once they're in the light, you can start working with them. You can stop pretending you're fine when you're not. You can stop blaming the word for problems you've helped create. You can stop hiding from the parts of your life that are out of control. It's raw. It's painful, but it's the beginning of something real. Because here's the thing, truth is the foundation of strength. When you're honest about where you are, you can begin to build. You're no longer trying to defend a lie. You're working with reality, and reality is solid ground. It might be uncomfortable, but it's stable. And from that place, you can actually make progress. You can say, this is what I want. This is where I fall short. And this is what I'm willing to do about it. That kind of clarity is rare. It's powerful and it's earned, but it doesn't just happen once. This is a daily practice. You'll be tempted to slip back into comfort, to tell little lies to avoid conflict, to downplay your goals so failure doesn't sting. Catch yourself. Pause. It's just, I'm being honest right now. That question alone can cut through so much noise. It can bring you back to the center because the truth, your truth, isn't hidden. It's just buried under layers of distraction and fear. And let's be clear, telling the truth doesn't mean broadcasting your flaws to the world. It means having the courage to confront them privately, and so they don't control you. It means being brutally honest about what's holding you back and then doing something about it. That's where transformation begins. You'll find that the more truthful you become, the less shame you carry. The less you hide, the more you grow. And over time, something incredible happens. You start to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you don't need to fake confidence. The real thing, you built on a foundation that can't be shaken by rejection, failure, because it's based on who you actually are, not who you're pretending to be. So take a moment, reflect. What lies are you still holding on to? In general, it's just, what truths have you been avoiding because they're inconvenient or painful? And what would your life look like if you stopped running from them? Because the fastest way to start believing in yourself is to stop lying to yourself. It's just, let's talk about failure, not as something to avoid, but to use. Because here's the reality. If you're truly pursuing growth, you will fail once, not twice, but constantly. And that's not a problem. That's the point. Failure is the evidence that you're trying to expand beyond your current limits. Most people treat failure like a verdict, like it's the final word. They are what they're capable of. But failure doesn't say you're not good enough. What it actually says is you've just discovered a boundary and now you have a chance to push it. And that perspective is everything, because how you interpret failure determines how you show up in life. Avoid it and you'll shrink. Embrace it and you evolve. You have to shift the frame. Failure isn't an identity. It's a process. It's a moment. And more often than not, it's feedback. It's data. It's the universe showing you where your current system, your current mindset, your current preparation isn't strong enough yet, not forever yet. That word matters. General. It's just, you see this in people who truly believe in themselves. They're not immune to failure. They just relate to it differently. They extract lessons from it. They see it as a necessary part of becoming someone stronger. And over time, they stop fearing it. because they've realized something that most people never dog. You can fail without being a failure. That distinction is powerful. Think about anyone you admire, whether it's a world-class athlete, a groundbreaking entrepreneur, or a visionary thinker. They've all failed, not just once, dozens, maybe hundreds of times, but they didn't quit. They didn't let it define them. They used it. They built on it. They let it refine their process, deepen their resilience, sharpen their focus. I think it's just, that's why they became exceptional, not because they were perfect, but because they kept showing up after things went wrong. And this applies at every level. I think just maybe you're not chasing a gold medal or building a billion-dollar company. Maybe you're just trying to improve your discipline, get your health together, build better relationships. It's just that path is still going to be full of failure. You'll skip workouts. You'll fall back into old patterns. You'll say the wrong thing. It's going to happen. But if you treat those moments as shameful, it's just, you'll stop trying. And the moment you stop trying, you guarantee that you'll stay exactly where you are. There's this psychological trap that a lot of people into called learned helplessness. It's when you experience failure and instead of adapting or pushing through, you internalize the failure as something permanent. I guess not cut out for this. This always happens. That kind of thinking doesn't just block growth. It erodes your entire sense of agency. You stop believing that effort matters. That's a dangerous place to live. But there's a way out. It starts how you talk to yourself after you fail. Instead of saying, I blew it, ask, what did I miss? Instead of saying, and this always happens, say, what can I change next time? Instead of, I'm not good at this, say, I'm not good at this yet. Those small shifts in language rewire your relationship with effort. They turn failure into a teacher instead of a judge. And let's not forget, sometimes fair is the only thing strong enough to wake you up. Sometimes you need to flat to realize that your approach, your mindset, your priorities are off. That moment of collapse can be the start of something honest, something necessary, because when you've got nothing to protect, you can finally be real. And from that place, you can rebuild stronger, smarter, and more focused than ever. So don't aim to avoid failure. Aim to earn it. Push hard enough that you hit resistance. Test your limits. Take the risk that might not work out. Because every time you fail with intention, you gather something that people who play it safe never will. Experience, awareness, and grit. And those are the ingredients of real self-belief, not fantasy, not hype, just a deep, earned understanding that no matter how many times you fall, you'll get back up better. You don't need to fear failure. You need to learn how to fail forward. There's one final piece to all of this, a truth that sounds simple but runs deep in your environment, shapes your belief more than you think. You could have all the ambition, all the discipline, and all the drive of the world, but if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, by cynicism, by people who don't believe in growth or effort or potential, it'll start to wear you down. Because belief isn't just built internally, it's reinforced externally. You need to take a hard look at what and who you let into your head. This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone off or isolate yourself, but it does mean you have to become radically intentional about the influences in your life, because we're wired for imitation. Psychologically, we model the behavior, the energy, even the belief systems of the people around us. That's not weakness. It's biology. It's how humans adapt. But if you don't take control of that process, you'll slowly start becoming a reflection of the wrong crowd. If you're surrounded by people who complain constantly, who downplay effort, who make fun of ambition, who talk more than they act, you'll start to internalize that. You begin to second guess your drive. You'll shrink to fit the room, not because you lack potential, but because your environment doesn't demand your greatness. It doesn't challenge you to rise. It numbs you into comfort. Now, on the flip side, if you place yourself in a space where people are growing, building, learning, pushing boundaries, you will adapt to that too. Their standards will become your standards. Their energy will lift yours. Their belief in themselves will reflect something back at you, something that says, you can do this too. And this goes beyond people. It includes what you consume: social media, podcasts, books, conversations. Every piece of content you engage with is shaping your worldview. You have to ask yourself, is this expanding me or draining me? Is it helping me believe in my ability to change, or is it reinforcing the idea that people like me stay stuck? Jordan Peterson talks about the idea of voluntary exposure to what challenges you. In general, it's just not reckless cows, but conscious confrontation. If you want to grow, you need to deliberately place yourself in situations that force you to stretch. It's just, that includes putting yourself around people who are ahead of you, not so you can feel inferior, but so you can learn, so you can be humbled, inspired, and sharpened. It's not about comparison in general. It's about proximity to excellence. That energy is contagious, but you have to be willing to seek it out. You won't find it scrolling endlessly. You won't find it in comfort zones. You'll find it in places that demand your growth, whether that's a tough mentor, a high-performing team, or just a friend who refuses to let you coast. And if you're thinking, but I don't have anyone like that around me, you're not stuck, you can build it. Start by curating your digital space. Follow people who challenge you. Read things that make you think deeply. Listen to voices that hold you accountable. Then be the first in your circle to raise the bar. You'll attract people who match that energy. That's how new environments are formed, by one person deciding to change the atmosphere. And don't forget, the environment inside your head matters just as much. The way you talk to yourself, the standards you hold yourself to, the boundaries you enforce with your time and attention, that's your internal landscape. You have control over it, but you have to tend to it like a garden. It either gets cultivated or overgrown with weeds. Believing in yourself isn't just about effort or mindset. It's about setting up a world inside and outside where that belief can grow, but where it's supported, reinforced, echoed. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, trying to believe in yourself in a vacuum is one of the hardest ways to do it. Surround yourself with the right energy, and belief becomes easier, natural, automatic. So take inventory. Where do you spend your time? Where gets access to your mind? What content, what conversations, what habits shape your day? Then ask if it's just, does this align with the person I'm trying to become? Because you don't just rise to your goals, you rise to your environment. Choose one that demands your greatness.